It's an honor to stand before such a passionate crowd of freedom lovers and to talk about the success of our libertarian candidates in the 2024 election. Now, I know what you're thinking. Success? Really? And I'm here to tell you that 2024 was a remarkable success in showcasing our ideas and ideals. And I believe it's a tremendous leap forward for the Libertarian Party, both nationally and here in the state of Texas. Now, wherever I campaign, I inevitably hear the same statement, even from old party candidates. You know, I'm really more of a libertarian. And this was most recently said to me a couple of weeks ago at a meet and greet for an event before a candidate forum. And yes, we all know it's not true. Because if it were true, they wouldn't have to say that. But because my wife has been successfully trying to get me to think before I act, I countered with, well, then it's too bad that we don't have more libertarian candidates on the ballot for you to choose from. So if you think about it, libertarian candidates have more power and potential influence than most people believe, including ourselves. First reason I know this happened early on in the campaign. Nathan pointed out just before our interview that libertarians don't enter politics to become career politicians. If they did, it's unlikely that they would be libertarians. Now, most voters don't even consider this aspect, so if you are in a conversation that discusses politics, or even better, choose to become a candidate for any level of office, make sure you point that out. The second reason is that since we already know that the odds of winning our respective races is those odds are against us, we have nothing to gain by telling voters what we think they want to hear in order to secure their vote. But we also have nothing to lose by telling them the truth, at least as we see it. Yeah. And that makes us very dangerous people. Okay. Gotta wait for the teleprompter to catch up. But it got me wondering what it is that causes people to say that they are really libertarians. I used to think it was they were trying to put me at ease. After all, they probably think that being an outcast or a misfit candidate among a sea of Democrats and Republicans was uncomfortable. But I recently realized that it wasn't about my discomfort as much as it was about theirs, and their fear of being ridiculed and actually having the temerity to talk to someone who isn't part of their tribal mentality. As any veteran will probably tell you, the difference is that none of us almost joined. All right, so if you're a candidate for any race here in Texas in 2024, please stand up. Other than that. And there's Chase. Absolutely. All right. Okay, so let's take a moment to acknowledge these brave souls who stepped up to run as libertarian candidates. These amazing folks are the absolute unsung heroes of liberty. They took on the political establishment with the courage of lions and the determination of a cat trying to fit into a box that's clearly too small. Our candidates may not have been on the front pages of the, well, except for Chase. But I can assure you that they did make waves. In a world where the media often glosses over our message, we still made ourselves heard. Our candidates articulated ideas that challenged the status quo. They spoke out against government overreach, advocated for personal freedom, and fought tirelessly for fiscal responsibility. And guess what? People are listening. One of the most exciting outcomes of the 2024 election so far is the number of new faces that have showed up at the polls, either because they were discontent with the establishment candidates or because they were inspired by our message. I prefer to believe the latter, but I'll tell you what. The point is that we're witnessing a shift, a growing awareness that the alternatives to the two parties actually exist. Voters are beginning to realize they don't have to choose between the lesser of, well, a paper cut or a root canal. They can choose liberty. It's like walking into an ice cream shop and realizing that there's a brand new flavor called freedom that they never knew existed. And let me tell you, it's delicious. But once I realized that the reason the old parties are fighting so hard to minimize our voice in the political arena, I also realized that their actions were about assuaging their discomfort. And that led to the question, what are the Democrats and Republicans really so afraid of? Well, part of my message here tonight is to tell you exactly what the old parties are afraid of. They're afraid because libertarians are fearless. We're not afraid of their politics, their manipulative influence, their petty backbiting, or their public victory. And while they're all wallowing in their arenas, slinging mud and feces at each other, we libertarians are just over here in the stands, calmly watching them, maybe starting a betting pool, sipping our iced tea, Long Island or otherwise, and wondering why so many other people are amused, even excited by their childish displays and their myopic perspective that American politics shapes the world. The larger point is that they want you to fear them. Fear-mongering is what they do, and it baffles them when we don't play their game by their rules. How much time do we spend trying to convince people that in a free society, people don't need the government telling them what to do? Really? Have you met people? In my personal opinion, about 80% of the people actually do want to be told what to do with their lives, because they are afraid that if left to their own devices, half of them would be standing in the middle of the street at 2 a.m. trying to decide whether or not to order the half rack of ribs with a barbecue sauce on the side, or the extra huge order of chili cheese nachos. Spoiler alert, here in Texas, the answer to that particular dilemma is always yes, because we value our freedom. And that's what authoritarians fear. It's not about what makes you feel comfortable, it's about what makes them feel comfortable. It's about them making sure that you live where they want, that you do what they want, when they want, and how they want. Your freedom scares them and is therefore a threat to them because they can't control you. At the end of the day, the appeal of authoritarianism lies in its promise of simplicity. Just one person making the decisions, leaving the rest of us free to binge watch our favorite TV shows without the burden of critical thinking. Meanwhile, libertarians are out there trying to convince the same people that they would all be better off if they took a few moments to put their heads together to create a new utopia where no one has to wear pants if they don't want to. And who doesn't want that? All right, now let's talk numbers. Hey, I'm a statistician. You know it had to come out sometime. So while we may not have taken home the big trophy this time, we saw a significant increase in voter turnout for libertarian candidates compared to some of our previous election outings. In many areas, we've made strong showings, and more people than ever have cast their vote for liberty. It's as if the quiet whispers of our ideas have finally broken through the cacophonous din of partisan bickering and swelled into a chorus of support. We're gaining traction, folks. Our candidates are out there articulating solutions to the problems that really matter to most everyday Americans. Issues like individual rights, personal responsibility, and the simple belief that the government should stay the hell out of our lives. Those aren't just talking points. Those are the foundation of a society where people can thrive. So let's also celebrate our grassroots efforts. This election showed the power of local organizing, with libertarians banding together to spread the message. From town halls to social media campaigns, we engaged in communities and created networks of support. It's heartening to see how many of you folks, not just the candidates, but the supporters as well, got involved, knocking on doors, hosting meetups, and engaging in the discourse that shapes our future. This is the spirit of liberty in action. Now, I want to highlight something crucial, and that is the impact of our message on the younger generation. Younger voters are increasingly disillusioned with the traditional landscape. in politics. They crave the authenticity and options that reflect their values, which coincidentally seem to align with ours. We're building a foundation for young liberty activists who are eager to challenge the old routines. Imagine a future where the leaders of tomorrow carry the torch of liberty high, lighting the way for others. And let's not forget about the alliances we formed with other groups who share our values of freedom and personal responsibility. By collaborating with like-minded individuals, we are expanding our reach and amplifying our voice. Together, we're proving that there's strength in unity and that we're making waves in the political arena which can no longer be ignored. But wait, there's more. The discussions we sparked aren't confined to election seasons. Our candidates have succeeded in pushing critical conversations into the mainstream. Whether it's about drug legalization, privacy rights, or fiscal responsibility, we are forcing the old parties to address these issues, even though they seem to want to continue slinging mud and feces at each other. They can no longer afford to ignore us, and that is a testament to the power of our ideas. So what does that mean for us going forward? It means that we must keep up the momentum. We can't rest on our laurels just because we've made some progress. We need to continue building our networks, refining our message, and engaging in our communities. We need to take our responsibility upon ourselves to ensure that every conversation about government is a conversation about liberty. Let's take a moment to envision the future we want to create. A future where personal freedom flourishes, where individuals are empowered to make their own choices, and where the government actually respects the rights of all of its citizens, not just the ones who voted for it. That vision is within our grasp, and every effort you make brings us one step closer to that future. Now, I bet you've been waiting for these words. In closing, yes, let's celebrate the success we've achieved, the lessons we've learned, and the ability to create for ourselves and everyone else the bright future that lies ahead. We are the party of liberty, the party of principle, and together we're making history one conversation, one vote, and one candidate at a time. Let's keep this momentum going and show the world that liberty isn't just a nice idea. It's a revolution. Thank you. Keep fighting.
Mr. Darren Hamilton, everyone. All right, our next speaker doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. Some say that he is the hardest person on the ground working for liberty in Texas. He is serving his second term as Dallas County Chair. He has served several terms on the LP Texas State Libertarian Executive Committee. He served as our legislative coordinator on the ground in 2023. And he's getting ready to gear up to do it again in 2025 after he wraps up his candidacy right now for U.S. Congressional District 32. Ladies and gentlemen, James Brown of LP Texas candidate. Mr. Kevin Hale.
That's right. Let's give them Hale. My name's Kevin Hale. As you heard, I have a lot of roles in this party. Chair of the Libertarian Party of Dallas County. I am a member of the State Executive Committee, and of course, your legislative coordinator on the ground in Austin. But my favorite role is candidate. I love being a candidate. It's the best part of doing this. Being the candidate is the opportunity of a lifetime for us. It's the front lines of sales. I've been in sales for 35 years, so this was a perfect fit for me. I love being a candidate. I get to challenge the old parties in their old thinking with new innovative ways. I've been very successful at doing this. We now have 15 co-sponsors on the Federal Sunset Act. There were exactly 0 co-sponsors before I started talking about it, so I think I get credit for all of them, including the incumbent I ran against last time. So he didn't want to face me again, so he co-sponsored the bill. That's why I ran for the open seat, they call it an all red left, and that's why I challenged the Democrat in this race. And it's clear that the Conrad High School event, I stopped her. It was over. She got scared after that event. My signs started disappearing after that event. I started getting messages on my phone from Democratic precinct chairs. It was crazy what happened after the Conrad event. But being a candidate is my favorite role because I get to do that to the 2 old parties all the time. It's awesome. I can't do it though without donors like you. I run active challenge campaigns, and they know when they're in a fight with me that I'm gonna be there all the way to the end. And I don't care what percentage I get, I'm gonna leverage those votes to get more co-sponsors on legislation that we want. We want the Federal Sunset Act. The government is too big. Guess how many federal agencies and departments there are? There are 601 federal agencies and departments. Yes, I counted them twice. To get rid of these, I've got 2 plans. The Federal Sunset Act is number 1. It's already legislation that's in the Congress. Number 2 is a Taxpayers' Choice Act. I want taxpayers to choose where their tax dollars go. Imagine you go fill out your employment paperwork, and there's a list of 601 federal agencies, and you got to put a check mark by each one that you want to have your money. We'll find out real quick which one of the agencies they actually support. Third thing I want to do is repeal the AUMF. The AUMF is the authorized use of military force. This has been in place since 2001. It's the reason we cannot get out of the wars, because every president doesn't mind having the authority to take us to war. I want Congress to get that power back. The only way to do that is to repeal the AUMF. The fourth thing I have a Sunset Act, so I also have a Sunrise Act. This is for my felons. Felons, how do you like it after 5 years after your sentence that you are no longer have to list yourself as a felon? That would be a Sunrise Act. People would have something to look forward to instead of being stuck in recidivism and stuck in being called a felon, stuck without being able to get a house, stuck without being able to get a job, stuck without being a second-class citizen. We need to stop doing this to people. America is about second chances, and we need to let everybody have a second chance. My favorite role is candidate. Thank you, donors, because you make it possible for me to run active challenge campaigns. They may not know what they're in for when they start a campaign against me, but by the end, they know they've been in a dogfight. And I can guarantee the Democrat that's probably going to win this district because of the gerrymandering, she knows she was in a fight with me. And I guarantee the next time I run against her, she's going to be a lot closer to our policy than she was with her. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, we're going to have a short break here. Everybody relax. If you need to go to the restroom, do that. And we will be gathering back here shortly. Thank you, everybody.
I know you'll do the best you can, but it don't change much for me. Control my heart. Oh, I believe there's going to be explosion. Talk to me, oh baby. I
sea, digging for dancing queen. Friday night and the lights are low, looking up for a place to go. Get away about music, getting in the swing. You got to look for the pain. Anybody could be that guy. Nice, young, and music's high. Everything about music, everything's fine. Don't even look back. And when you get the chance, you are the dancing queen. Young and sweet, only 17. Dancing queen, feel the beat from the tambourine. You can dance, you can
Can I get a request?
If you change your mind on the first day in line, honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. If you need me, let me know. I'll be around. If you got no place to go, you feel down. If you're all alone, where the pretty birds have flown, honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. Gonna do my very best and ain't no lie. If you put me through the test, you let me try. Take a chance on me. Take a chance on me. You can go dance, you can go run. know I've got so much that I wanna do. When I dream I'm alone with you, it's me. You want me to leave it there, afraid of a love affair. I think you know that I can't let go. If you change your mind on the first day tonight, I'll leave you free. Take a chance on me. If you need me, let me know. Be around. Got no place to go. Leave it down. If you're all alone, and the pretty words have come, honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. It's the time, it's the place, it's the motion. We see somewhere we feeling.
I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star, my guiding light, my love fantasy. There's not a minute, hour, day or night that I don't love you. You're at the top of my list, cause I'm always thinking of you. I still remember in the days when I was scared to touch you. How I spent my day dreaming, planning love to say I love you. You must have known that I had feelings deep enough to swim in. That's when you opened up your heart and you told me to come and go. 1,000 kisses from you is never enough. I just don't wanna Yes, I did. To disco down and check out the show. Yeah, they were dancing and singing and moving to the moving. And just when it somebody turned around and shouted, play that fucking music, white boy. Play that fucking music, right. Play that fucking music, white boy. Play that the boogie and play that fucking music. Good time. These are the good times. Leave your head behind. These are the good times. Good times. These are the good times. Are you stay alive? These are the good times. Happiness, I'm here again. The time is right for making friends. Let's get together. How about a quarter to 10? Come tomorrow. Let's all do it again. Boys will be boys. Better let them have the talk. Girls will be girls. Keep on your tails and girls. Must put an end to the stress and strife. I think I want to live the sporty life. Good time. These are good times. Leave your head behind. These are good times. Good times.
I know, right?
These are good times. I'll really stay alive.
Oh yeah.
So I look over there and I'm like, oh my god, is that? That's a live stream.
I know, right?
Guys.
I was watching the live stream from Trump and Kamala, and like ours is like way more happening. So I can actually say
You want to get out?
the Libertarian Party's where it's
What is
at.
this on? What is this on?
Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
Woo!
Get down on it.
Come on.
Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the wall.
Tell me, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall.
Get your back up off the
Well,
wall.
I heard all the people say,
Get down on it.
come on then.
Get down on it.
If you really want it,
Get down on it.
you gotta feel it.
Get down on it.
Get down on it.
Down on it.
Come on then.
Get down on it.
Baby, baby. Get on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let's go.
Do it out. Side of speak. She got ready to go.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? I would not wait for this. Gotta feel yeah.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one. And another one. Another one bites the dust. Hey, I'm gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust.
I ain't think you're gonna get along without you at all. Took me from everything that I had to keep me out of my own. I'm satisfied. How lucky to stand here. I'm going to the
Hey, y'all.
Wow, they like the cowboy hat, guys. I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, it don't feel good. Hey. It don't feel good. Something made you love me. Now know that it's true. I don't want to spend my whole life just waiting for you. Now I want you back for the weekend, not back for a day. Baby, I just want you back, and I want you to stay. I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, it don't feel good. It don't feel good. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Baby, I need you. Same place, same time. Where we can all get together and ease up our minds. Do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Winner is Jay Oliver.
please welcome Lars Mapstead. Make some noise. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lars Mapstead.
Should we turn the camera that way? Yes, we should.
All right, Texas, what's up? Chase Oliver Watch Party, this is awesome. I'm super stoked to be here. I just wanted to say thank you to all the people who are running in this election cycle, all the people who have been supporting all the candidates during this election cycle, because what we're doing is we are pushing liberty out of this room, out into America right now. We are winning. It feels bad sometimes. It feels like we're not getting the wins because we're not getting the media attention and we're not getting all the eyes on us. But what I've come to understand is that we in the Libertarian Party are pushing the Overton window. We are pushing the message in America about liberty. We are pushing that message on criminal justice reform around marijuana rules and laws all over this country. Before we started that, nobody was even talking about that. We're pushing the message on taxation and that taxation is theft, and we now have national candidates who are saying they want to abolish the IRS. I never thought I'd hear that in my entire life. We have people talking about ending foreign wars and ending us sending money overseas to drop bombs on kids in faraway lands, and I'm so grateful for that. And it's because of the work that we are doing in this room. Now, a lot of people, in fact, even just this morning, I was asked, why the hell did you run for president, Lars? That's ridiculous. You knew you weren't going to win. What was the whole point of that? And the whole point of me running for president of the United States was so that I could get our message out. And I knew that in order to get our message out, you had to be taken seriously. And what's the most serious thing that you can do? You can run for president of the United States. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And I feel like, thank you. And I feel like we got our message out there. And in fact, some of the messaging that we put out there has reached the national stage. And one of those things was a lot of people were talking about my Stop 270. And a lot of people learned about the Electoral College and the fact that if you didn't get 207 electoral votes, you couldn't become president. And people then had to look at the Constitution and figure all that kind of stuff out, right? And then a lot of people started hearing about ballot access and the ballot access issues that the Libertarian Party and other independents have problems with. And this election cycle was such a farce because during the primary election system, they basically in a few states said, the primary doesn't matter. We're just going to vote how we want to vote anyway. And you people showing up to vote, your vote doesn't matter. And that doesn't seem democratic to me. That doesn't seem like what America is all about. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push a message that we can change the system. We can unrig the system.
That's right.
Yeah. And we're doing it. And we're doing it. I want to tell you two really quickly stories about when I first met Chase Oliver. I was at the California convention and somebody said, hey, Chase is at the airport. Who's going to go get him? And because I'm a Californian and it's my state, I said, I'll go get him. So I went and got Chase at the airport. He was quite surprised that another presidential candidate was rolling up in a brand new Porsche to take him off to the California convention. But he was very nice to me, and we've had a great run together, very cordial, and just really supportive of each other's campaigns, along with all the other candidates that we have. And then the first time that I met Mike Tremont, I want to talk about that too. We were in Alabama at the convention in Alabama, and I heard Mike kind of talking to somebody about how his Uber driver wasn't showing up or something wasn't going right. And so I said, hey, Mike, what's going on? He's like, I can't get to Washington State. I'm supposed to fly to Washington to their convention. I want to talk to them. And I said, well, I'll give you a ride. He said, you'll give me a ride? And I'm your competitor. I'm like, yeah, but we're both here fighting for the message of liberty. We're both here trying to push the Overton window. I don't really care who wins as long as we change the freaking system, because I'm sick of living under the tyranny of the authoritarian state. One of the big pieces that my campaign put together, my campaign team was amazing, and hats off to them, as well as the campaign teams of all the candidates. But one of the things that we put together was a thing called the Voters' Bill of Rights, because I felt like there was no other better way to unrig the system, that you couldn't even start unrigging the system if you couldn't actually get your vote counted, if you couldn't actually know that your vote was counted, if you weren't gerrymandered into oblivion, if you weren't suppressed off the ballot. So I created this Voters' Bill of Rights, and it has 5 principles. I'll go over them really quickly with you. The right to participate, the right to be able to get yourself on the ballot. There shouldn't be any differences between Republicans, Democrats, independents. If you're a gas station attendant or a millionaire, you should be able to run for any office that you want and have a fair shot at it. We got to end gerrymandering. It is an atrocious beast. It is used by the corrupt politicians to carve out and suppress the vote of the people. And that is what we're all about. We're about leveling the playing field and making everybody's vote freaking count. Transparent elections. Everybody in America right now, Democrat, Republican, Independent, nobody feels like the election system is fair, and they have no way to even actually understand whether it's corrupt or not. So we demand transparent accountability where any citizen can audit the vote. where any group of people can audit the vote. And the states will make all those ballots available so that we can all make sure that the votes are counted right. Because if people don't believe and trust in the system, we get things like January 6th and we get things like the George Floyd riots. And I don't want any more people to suffer because we can't get our crap together in America.
That's right.
Every voter obviously should have the right to be able to vote and to be able to get to the polls easily. Every voter should be able to get a mail-in ballot, especially if they're not able to get there. And that there should be no fees for the documents required to vote. Because if you're poor or rich, it doesn't matter. You are the same when it comes to the American vote, in my opinion.
Amen.
Every voter has the right to inspect voter registration lists, and also all voters who are criminals who have served their time should have their voting rights restored.
Amen.
So I've been thinking to myself after I got done running for president, what the hell am I going to do now? What is the most thing that I can do to affect liberty? What is the thing that I can do to change and move the Overton window myself? And I came to this understanding that this Voters' Bill of Rights is the thing that I really want to push. So I'm creating a nonprofit organization to educate America on the Voters' Bill of Rights and get it in front of Congress people and senators all across this country and try to change the system from within and really allow for the American citizen to have a more free, fair, and open election system that they all talk about, they all never deliver. And with that, I thank you very much for your time.
We're gonna just ask the DJ if we could either hook it up to his or just put the microphone up to the speaker. Okay, ask him what the best solution would be. Okay. And then we're just playing the video. We're just gonna play the audio. Did you do anything with the stream? Where'd the stream go? I don't know. I just pulled up the video. We're gonna have to stream it to StreamYard, and that's what we play the audio from the StreamYard. Got it. I don't have any.
Let me know you hear. I do my GoPro.
All right, ready?
People hear? They hear music?
Well, I don't know if they hear music or not, but I'm trying to play this. Because I can't hear anything. I'm already sharing the screen. Do you hear that?
Can I hear it? I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
Oh, you're trying to get his
Yes.
vocals in here.
Yes,
Oh,
just the
I thought
audio.
you want my audio in yours.
No,
Oh, okay,
just
okay.
the audio.
Yeah, you do that. I plug in the wrong one. Here, yeah, plug into this one.
Party well for a long time now. I also got to know the other guys running for president. Jacob Hornberger and I both live in Virginia. He was very easy to get to know, and he's a lot of fun. He was the guy that would always hold us responsible, make sure that we were as adherent to libertarian philosophy.
Okay, so you have to switch the audio to this audio. I think that's
Okay,
how it works.
so
Or the aux.
this.
Oh yeah, you got to put it back in there. Yeah, and then you gotta click your audio here, and you gotta switch it to the right one. This one. Yeah, that one, the volume or something. There should be like an audio, the volume. This should allow you to choose which audio. Or somewhere in there. Should give you options, speaker options. Want me to try? Here, here, you want me to try that? It should have like a, maybe type in sound or audio, search for that, and it should give you an option to change your audio instead of your speakers.
Yeah, I just don't know how to work.
Here, let me try searching. I don't know.
I work on Mac. Sound input, sound output. Oh.
Output, you want, the speaker one. See how that works.
To handle a press conference, I must say it was a joy to.
Real check.
It's coming through.
We're trying to get the audio to hook up to the PA. Okay, someone closed my window. All right, I just lost the window for a second. All right, checking it now. Oh.
I feel with the benefit of hindsight.
All right, hold on.
About the decision to endorse and support.
She got Steve to announce it. Okay, we're just gonna do audio.
Oh, you can't get the video.
It's too far away from this. There's no speakers over there.
Well, people can watch over there and hear it. You can hear that all the way across the room. I would play it on there.
What? Play it on that? StreamYard. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, it won't be good as this is. Sorry to throw a wrench. You're like, I want to go to sleep.
I'm very right now.
You have enough fun.
I'm mostly irritated because I don't know how to work a
You sure it's
PC.
working? One more time. Can you play it like real quick to see if it's working?
Yeah, you're
And to work with,
yeah. So you're hooked up. We just can't figure out how to hook it up into that. You're good?
Boom! Look at that.
Oh,
It's us though.
it's us. Okay.
I'm gonna share the stream here.
Can you say anything or no?
Yeah, you can still introduce Mike.
Okay.
The audio's gonna go.
Okay.
All right. If I could have everybody's attention. Through the miracle of online streaming, we have with you some remarks from our amazing vice presidential nominee and candidate, Mike Termont.
Please hold.
Hopefully soon.
Who is this one? Freaking A. Thanks.
You do look great.
I can't work. I can't work this.
There we go.
All right. I'm going to just give me 2 seconds.
Switch. Oh yeah, there it goes.
All right, we're good.
Wait, is this delay?
Yeah, it's on.
no, let it run. There's a couple of things that I should probably say for the folks in Dallas. When we started out on this process, I don't think that any of us realized that one of the bonuses of traveling and working hard would be getting to know the other candidates for president. Chase and I spent a lot of time together because we were in so many shared venues, of course. And I was immediately impressed, as you might imagine, in a way jealous of his ability to communicate his ideas, but also to immediately develop a relationship with his audience. It'll come as no surprise to anyone that you could notice right away that he's a likable guy. But in addition to that, there's a certain skill set that not everybody has. It's really a gift, and that has served him well, and I believe served our party well for a long time now. I also got to know the other guys running for president. Jacob Hornberger and I both live in Virginia. He was very easy to get to know, and he's a lot of fun. He was the guy that would always hold us responsible, make sure that we were as adherent to libertarian philosophy as possible. And so sometimes, he would drive us crazy, but in a good-natured way. It was a lot of fun to work with Jacob. I became close with both Michael Rechenwald and Joshua Smith for different reasons, and I miss very much working with those two guys. Probably the guy that I became closest to is Lars Mapstead, and that's notwithstanding the fact that he drives me absolutely crazy, and he knows that. I try to drive Lars crazy back. And I do that by only calling him when I'm upset about something. See, he probably thinks I live my life, 90% of the time being upset about one thing or another, because I never call him when things are going well. I want to credit Lars with having given me the idea of developing the Voter Bill of Rights, which is a collection of language that I wrote in order to express how I personally feel about the intersection of libertarian philosophy and traditional American values toward democracy and the expression of that democracy. So I want to give some small modicum of credit to Lars for having inspired me. In the last 24 hours before the nomination, we learned a lot about Chase's ability to handle a press conference. I must say it was a joy to work with him that evening before the nomination. The next day, he really demonstrated quite a skill at not only answering questions, but in terms of fielding questions and working with the press. I was really impressed. And so the next day, when it came to the penultimate moment of having to make a decision, I really believed that Chase was the right guy to represent our party. I also thought it was a good idea to form a ticket that would represent the interests, the participation of what we might loosely call both sides of our party. And I invited Michael Rechtenwald's team to form a ticket with Chase. And to Chase's credit, he was willing to go along with the idea. At that moment, we didn't even know, who would be the top of the ticket, who would be the bottom of the ticket. But Chase was willing to do what it took in order to form a ticket that would represent all of the interests of the Libertarian Party. And the other side said no. A lot of folks have asked how I feel with the benefit of hindsight about the decision to endorse and support and to work with Chase to form a ticket. If I had known that he was going to be as good at it as he has turned out to be, I don't think I would have viewed that decision as having been all that extraordinarily difficult. That first day after the nomination was a fun day. We went into Washington and we took some photos and some footage near the monuments. At one point, there was a busload of what appeared to be 19-year-olds that came up the steps to the Lincoln Memorial. And Chase gathered them around. And single-handedly, not only did he take it upon himself to gather this group of kids, but gave them a lecture on the nature of our democratic republic and the intersection of that with libertarian thought. Now, I got to be honest with you. Two things about that struck me. One, there is absolutely no way that I would have been able to pull that off. And number two, there is absolutely no way when I was 19 years old that I would put up with some, bullshit lecture from a guy I had never seen before at the Lincoln Memorial. And he was able to make that work in a way that was so successful and so impressive that when we got back to the office, in front of Chase, I told everybody on the team that it was something that I had done. And Chase just went along with it. And so I apologize to anyone on our team who still believes that that story happened with Mike gathering everyone who came off the bus and gave them the lecture and managed to hold 15 or 20 19-year-olds in rapt attention. Later on that same day, Chase had a podcast, and we were running it off of his phone, but we didn't have a tripod. So I held the phone myself, and with the other hand, I was holding an umbrella. And at one point, the rain stopped long enough for me to take a selfie because I thought it was such a funny image. To the extent to which our party will be successful in the future, it will be as a result of taking more seriously our success in running candidates to get our message out, yes, to get votes and raise money, but perhaps even more importantly, to push the other parties in the direction that we want them to go. I don't know what role Chase will choose to play in the party going forward. I'm confident that he will play a major role in the movement for freedom. If I might speak to Chase directly just for a moment, man to man. Chase, you are better at this than people thought you would be. You're better at this perhaps than even you thought that you would be. Stay in the fight. Run for office again and give as many people the chance to say, as I do, I'm a Chase Oliver fan.
Whoops, sorry.
So I've been a Chase Oliver fan since his results from the Senate. And, well, you know, one way to sum up Chase is the way Rolling Stone did, the most influential libertarian in the United States. Chase is really amazing at being able to connect with regular people. As you say, moving that Overton window. And obviously, there's some progress that's occurring in the political world. For those of you who saw the Democratic convention, the one night, the word freedom was all the way around the thing over and over and over again. So apparently they figured out that freedom is popular. They don't do anything with it, but at least they like the word. So instead of talking about the word freedom, let's hear from the person who's actually out there and connecting with the next generation for freedom, Chase Oliver.
Thank you very much, Steve. Steve, not only is a great MC, but has been a great campaign manager throughout this process. I first want to say thank you to Mike Tremont. He has been a fantastic running mate throughout this process, and he didn't tell you the full part of that story in DC. The other part of that story, and Kelsey, you can testify to this, is that Mike's sitting on the sideline there, and he goes, Chase is talking to these young people. I know when it's my turn, when the retirement bus gets here, that's when it's my turn to inspire all the grands. But the truth is I knew from the second that I approached Mike and said, let's make this a unity ticket, that'd be one I'd be proud of. And I know one of the reasons, that I knew that there was a potential for Mike to be my running mate was in that press conference after a war criminal named Donald Trump spoke at our convention. And we needed folks who were able to respond to that rhetoric, to the lies, and to the manipulation that man put on our stage at our convention. And I was very proud to have Mike Tremont on stage, batting that back and forth like a volleyball, bump, set, spike right into the ground each and every time. And so I'm glad I've had that partner. Thank you very much, Texas, for helping me start my journey. I'm proud to be here because my political journey started here as a candidate for president. I said that a little earlier tonight to y'all, but to folks who don't know, my first event after running for U.S. Senate, after causing the runoff, and after people said you should explore the idea of running for president, that came to here in Abilene, Texas, because Steve Dosbach said you need to go outside of the state to see how much impact you had in your Senate election. And I'm so glad I did, because it started me on the process to run for office. The presidential candidate here is what allowed me to travel to all 50 states. I'm not just the first libertarian to do that. We have yet to find another presidential candidate of any party that was crazy enough to travel to all 50 states. But I thought it was important to do so because I thought our message needed to be heard in every corner of the nation. I knew voters in every single state needed to hear the message of liberty and to know that that option was on their ballot. That they did not have to settle for less. They didn't have to settle for war, for debt, for violence. They didn't have to settle for it, that there's a better option on the ballot. And it's been the honor of my life to represent the Libertarian Party as its standard bearer. But I know that this journey is not just me alone. All right, my name's on the tin, but it's a lot more than just me that made this campaign happen. There are a lot of fantastic individuals that I want to thank here tonight. And it starts with our campaign staff, led by Steve Dosbach, who has led this campaign fearlessly and tirelessly. I want to thank my comms manager, or my comms director, Kelsey Lyon, who has been fearless. And I want to thank all of our communications team, Sherry, Amber, I see, where's Amber at? I want to thank each and every one of you for the work you did to help spread this message as far and wide as we could. I want to thank Michelle McCutcheon for being a great volunteer director who made sure every single person who wanted to volunteer in this campaign could find a place to do that. I want to thank each and every person who did volunteer for this campaign. Thousands of people across the country took time to wave signs, to call people, to text bank, to let people know that there was a better option on their ballot. And I'm in debt to each and every one of you. My heart, there's a special place in my heart for each and every person who helped make that difference. Now, I don't think I would be honest if I didn't say there were some headwinds faced in this election. Some of those headwinds are the same headwinds every libertarian will ever have. They will have the two-party system trying to discount the media, trying to say that if you vote outside of the two-party system, you're wasting your vote. They're just crazy. They're not viable. Why would you vote for them? Why are you going to vote for somebody knowing that they're not going to win? And the truth is the answer to that is, I'll paraphrase from a great show called Firefly. I may have been on the losing side, but I'm not convinced it wasn't the right side. And there were headwinds that have not been faced by past libertarian presidential campaigns. People who have felt that it's more important to sell out our principles in favor of political expediency and a seat at the duopoly table at the expense of our members, at the expense of our philosophy, and at the expense of our party. I am proud to say that I have stood firm, that I didn't have a vouching for Hillary moment. I have stood firm that the Libertarian Party is where our voice should go, where our vote should go, and where our energy should go. No matter the vote totals tonight, I'm committed to helping build a stronger, more viable, and more vibrant Libertarian Party that represents the broad spectrum of this nation. Because I want everyone, no matter where they come from, no matter how much they earn, what the color of their skin, how they worship, or how they live their lives, none of that should keep you away from being a libertarian. Because libertarianism is the only philosophy that embraces the inherent right for you to be yourself in peace. And we have been that vehicle for liberty for over 50 years. Now, I want us to look at the vote totals tonight, and some people may be a little dismayed. You know, I'm a little dismayed. I wanted to beat Joe Jorgensen really bad too, you guys. Shout out to Dr. Jorgensen, in all seriousness. But in reality, I want us to think about who one of our greatest party messengers was over 20 years ago. It was a guy named Harry Brown. It was actually Joe Jorgensen's running mate. In the year 2000, he brought new energy and enthusiasm and helped build new highs for this party. Now, did he get the third most number of votes in 2000? No. It was a guy named Ralph Nader. Did he get the fourth most number of votes in that election? No, that was a guy named Pat Buchanan. Then came Harry Brown. But what Harry Brown did is he stood on principle. He refused to abandon those principles for the sake of the two-party system, and he stood by as a torchbearer for liberty. And I can think of no better person to inspire me to run than Harry Brown. And that's the type of campaigning I have tried to do. Reaching out to voters directly to let them know that the power of freedom is incalculable, that the ability to own your own life, to make your own decisions, and to be free from government regulation or any regulation by anyone in your life so long as you're living in peace is paramount. And I've been happy and blessed to go across the country to speak to so many wonderful people. I want to tell a couple of stories about people I met along the road. I was in Indiana after an event. We were outside of the Holiday Inn, just hanging out, having a good time. And all of a sudden, this older couple comes walking by, and someone says, "Hey, this guy's running for president. If you want to ask him any questions, ask anything you want to." And said, let me ask a question. Walked right over, and he said, "Sir, when I was young, my government sent good men to go fight and die fighting communism in Vietnam. My question for you is this: will you go? If you were president, would you send good young men and women to go fight and die fighting communism in Taiwan?" And my answer was immediate: absolutely not. Conscription is slavery, and I refuse to support the draft. And he said, "I wish we had more people like that in the 70s. And so that's somebody who's in their 80s. I want to talk about the high school students I spoke to just a couple weeks ago at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Or no, sorry, that was college students. High school was in El Paso. Apologies, the Spartans out there. And I got to speak to these young people and hear their questions directly. What was important to them? You know what was important to them? Being able to make their own decisions, not being controlled, whether it's their body and what they decide to do with it, whether it's their business and how they decide to run it. Young people are interested in making the world freer and better for themselves and not being limited to just two options. When they hear that there's other options outside of two parties, their ears perk up, because right now the Democratic and Republican parties do not excite young people. It seems like business as usual. And when you introduce something powerful like the message of freedom to them, it inspires them to get up and make changes. We, as a party, need to focus ourselves now and in the future on waking up young voters.
Yeah.
We must reach out to the next generation, because the truth is we do not have the time or ability to wait for people who've been pulling a lever for 20 years and to convince them to come out of the two-party system. We have to hit them in their first election. We have to speak to their values immediately so they know the Libertarian Party is there for them in this election and every election going forward. I want to speak to two more quick things about the nature of this campaign. I am a millennial. I'm somebody who is younger, who can communicate those values, and I grew up in the War on Terror years. I have grown up knowing that both the Republican and the Democratic Party have not been there for me. They have robbed me of my wealth. They have robbed my generation of the ability for us to buy a home, raise a family, and have true prosperity. And we need to hold them accountable for that. And as a millennial candidate, I was proud to speak to the fact that the next generation should not have to suffer the way my generation did under the tyranny of the two-party system. And I want to speak to this. To those who may think it's wrong or it's identity politics to be a gay candidate for president, you could not be more wrong. I spoke to a man named Marshall, who was a founding member of the Libertarian Party in Texas. And he just told me a story about how back in the day, right after Stonewall, before there was even a Libertarian Party, libertarians gathered together alongside activists fighting against police brutality in Hollywood, California. Because people were sick and tired of living as their authentic selves and facing the force and violence of government. That is libertarianism. If you're not familiar with why the gay rights movement got started, it's because there was a little bar in Greenwich Village, New York, called the Stonewall Inn. And it's where LGBTQ people could carve out their little piece of America for themselves, where they could feel comfortable being themselves, living as their authentic self, until the government raided that building and started arresting people for being who they were, for living their authentic lives in peace. And it was powerful fighters for liberty, years before we had a Libertarian Party, that stood up and said no more. That is the spirit that inspires me as an LGBTQ libertarian. And I will never, ever apologize for that. I will never, ever apologize for trying to bring more LGBTQ people into this movement, because they deserve the same inherent liberty as anyone else. And so what comes next for me starting tomorrow? Win, lose, or draw, no matter the vote totals, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get to work, and I'm going to help organize for the Libertarian Party. And I encourage everyone who's watching this, everyone who's listening, to have the same mindset. Do not give up. Do not allow the two-party system to erase the powerful message of liberty from our political landscape. Be strong, be principled, and be ready to fight. And I will be ready to fight alongside each and every one of you. I want our party to be a stronger party. And so I'm asking that each and every one of you, as we go to state conventions and national conventions and look to the direction of our party, we want it to be professional, we want it to be ethical, and we want it to grow. That's my commitment to this party. That is my commitment to each and every one of you, is that the fight for liberty does not end today. My fight is just getting started. And I hope it is for each and every one. Whether it's the wars, whether it's the debt, whether it's the violence, whether it's the regulation, whether it's anything that the government is doing to attack us, I am with you. But I'm going to end tonight with the same thing that I say to each and every time I speak to a crowd. To each and every one of you, to those you know, to those you love, to those you meet every day, I wish all of you a life of peace, love, and liberty. Thank you.
Everybody's trying to break your spirit, keeping it down. Seems like it's been forever. Oh, there's another voice, if you don't see it, saying that last time. Looks like it's now or never. Out of the darkness, you stumble into the light. Fighting for the things you know are
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Texas State Chair Andrew Amalang.
Check. Thank y'all. What he said. Okay, I'm not going to try to follow Chase Oliver with a speech because I'm not crazy. And nobody in his right mind would follow Chase on stage with anything. My job up here is simply on behalf of myself as state chair of the Great Libertarian Party of Texas, to thank each and every one of you. I want to start with Chase and Liberty. Oliver, thank you so much for all that you have done and are doing and will be doing to promote the cause of liberty. Mighty Mike Tremont, Steve Dosbach, and the rest of the campaign staff, you guys are great. And thank you so much for everything you've done this year to do what you've done, to make people more aware of what we're doing. Thank you. I want to thank all of our Texas candidates. You're why we're here. You're why we do what we do, is to put you out in front of people and bring the message to them. Thank you so much for your hard work this season, this campaign season. I want to thank our sponsors that have made this evening possible, made it functional. We have many people that have pitched in to bring this event to you tonight. And finally, I just want to thank each one of y'all. Y'all gave up your evening tonight to join us here tonight and celebrate the work we're doing together with Chase. I would ask everybody to just, tomorrow we start again and we start this process and we go forward with what we've got and we build the cause of liberty where we are. Thank you much for coming out tonight. Hope y'all have a good evening.
You wanted me to stay, counting on the crazy vision of me. I heard that there's a special place where boys and girls can all be queens every single day. I'm having wicked dreams of leaving Tennessee in Santa Monica. I swear it's calling me. Won't make my mama proud. It's gonna cause a scene. She sees her baby girl. I know she's gonna scream. God, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club.